29.45 billion. That's how many hours people spent watching live streams on major platforms in just Q3 of this year. That may seem like a big number, and it is. But what if I were to tell you that live streaming's popularity now is just a fraction of what it will be in a couple of years? And to be clear, don't just take my word for it. YouTube, the kings of entertainment, is making a big bet on it, viewing live streaming right now at the same point that video podcasting was in 2020, while proclaiming that live streaming is soon to become a cultural phenomenon. And they just recently made the biggest updates to YouTube's live streaming capabilities ever. Growing up, the idea of live streaming, at least to me, meant watching gamers on Twitch play Fortnite. But now those same Fortnite live streams have Gavin Newsom talking about the nuances of the Israeli-Palestine conflict. What chapter did I miss? Well, clearly a couple. The live streaming space goes far beyond just Twitch now, with other huge players competing for the ultimate currency, attention. Which is why today I want to explain the ways in which live streaming has gone beyond its gaming roots, and why YouTube is so confident that right now is the time that live streaming, a medium that has existed for decades, is to become the next frontier of media. For the rest of this video, while I could dive deeper into live streaming's competitive landscape and history, I instead want to look forward and examine 3 different areas in which live streaming is having a growing impact, and what this means about the future of the media industry. When Donald Trump won the presidential election in 2024, people, including myself, dubbed it the podcast election. For video podcasts in particular, it felt like a national coming out party, where the power of the medium became apparent to the mainstream. Yet, it doesn't feel like live streaming got the same recognition. And in some ways, that's understandable. Podcasters like Joe Rogan have a larger mainstream presence than streamers like Aiden Ross. But that doesn't mean that live streaming didn't have a big influence on the last election. Aiden Ross's live stream with Trump on the live streaming platform Kick last summer had 580,000 active viewers at its peak, and Trump personally recognized the show's popularity afterwards. Liberal streamers like Hassan Piker and Dean Withers have also seen meteoric rises in popularity in recent years, often streaming for hours a day, where they provide commentary on political issues and interact with their audiences in real time as they react to major news events. And streamers from Ross to Piker to Withers represent a huge increase in political discourse on live streaming platforms, with yearly viewership of political streams increasing 56%. In fact, in Q1 of 2023, political commentary raked in around 1.66 billion hours of watch time across live streaming platforms. Fast forward to Q1 of 2025, and watch time was up to around 3.4 billion hours. The key question here is why? And it's not that people, especially young people, are just more involved in politics than they used to be.
I've done a lot of research into looking at why people spend money on streamers. What we find consistently is that a lot of times it has more to do with the streamer than the content itself.
All this means that the rise in political live streaming probably has more to do with an increased interest in the personalities than the content itself. We've seen, for example, the MAGA movement be drawn more to Trump's personal persona than a traditional conservative ideology. And despite how you view Trump's speech antics, his off-the-cuff rambling fits the long-winded, informal style that people, especially young men, crave from their live streamers.
It's really easy for someone to watch a 30-second reel. However, for someone to watch for 20, 30 minutes to hours on a live stream requires a lot more time and effort.
Given this, it's clear that Gavin Newsom's Fortnite appearance is both an attempt to reach a demographic that has not only shifted more conservative in recent years, but is also deeply engaged and invested in the political commentators on live streaming platforms. At the core of what makes sports fans so passionate is the community that it creates. A sense of community not only makes cheering on our favorite team more exciting, but helps sports fans feel a sense of belonging. Yet, despite sports' communal nature, the way sports have been broadcast historically did not capitalize on that desire for community. Live streaming is starting to change that.
Historical sports broadcasts, and I think it's a perfect term for it, right? It is a broadcast in the sense that it is being broadcast to a viewership versus what sort of we think of as live streaming for the most part, sort of sent to an audience.
Brandon is the director of partnerships at Playback.tv, the live streaming platform where content creators and fans can watch and engage live with sports games.
So now like the NBA and the MLB can trust us at Playback. So you'll see Playback creators not only hosting like live streams and live watch parties for these games, but you'll see clips of those emerge, right, on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts.
Of course, Playback isn't the only tech company courting major sports leagues. Huge tech platforms like YouTube have signed major rights deals with major sports leagues to live stream their events, with a focus on bringing influencer commentary and fan engagement to the forefront. And to be clear, these partnerships aren't just about tech companies trying to increase their footprint in sports. These deals are also quite important for the sports leagues themselves. That's because younger generations watch sports in a fundamentally different way than older generations. A study from PwC last year found that only 19% of people aged 18 to 34 watch an entire game when they tune in, with more than 2/3 of those surveyed saying they also look at social media while watching the game. This means that personalization and customization of the user experience is critically important.
That's why I think a lot of sort of like Gen Z, Gen Alpha sort of gear themselves a bit more toward the live stream, because it is a little bit more interactive. You are able to have a bit more of an identity. There are more like inside jokes.
On top of this, top streamers have shown a proven ability to keep younger audiences engaged even when the content itself isn't all that exciting. Take Cenat's record-breaking Mafia-thons, which stream 24/7 for 30 days, and include him sleeping, eating, and doing things that are pretty mundane. The content, outside of some celebrity interviews, isn't all that exciting. But if you think about it, sports games, at least for casual fans, are kind of the same way. There are only really a select few incredible highlight reel plays that happen in a game and quickly get circulated into our social media algorithms. And so with all of this dead space, it's not that surprising that younger audiences are increasingly not tuning in to entire games. Therefore, streamers who have proven that audiences want to engage with them even in the dull moments are a perfect match for sports leagues and the next era of sports media. Okay, now let's talk about shopping, specifically live shopping. That sentence coming from me of all people might shock my female relatives given my general reluctance to go shopping with them, but in exploring the live streaming industry, we do need to talk about it. Live stream shopping in the United States has become much more popular in recent years. That being said, the North Star for live stream shopping is in China, and to fully understand where it may be able to get to in the United States, we need to start there. Live stream shopping is a big deal in China, and has been for years. Wildly popular social platforms have turned into live stream shopping behemoths, with estimates projecting that China's live commerce market, which already made up around 30% of the country's e-commerce sales in 2023, could surpass $1 trillion in US value by 2026. Now, if we look back at the United States, live commerce pales in comparison, but the growth is what is intriguing. Estimates predict that the US live commerce market could reach $67.8 billion by next year, double its market size from 2023. TikTok Shop, the leader in live stream shopping in the United States, reported a 165% year-over-year increase in 2024 for their Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend sales. And YouTube, in an attempt to rival TikTok's success, has been stepping up their live stream shopping capabilities, recently announcing a rollout of new features that will make it easier for creators to directly promote products in their videos. And if we look at this from a user perspective, a lot of the growth has to do with the interactivity that live shopping provides. The ability to connect with hosts in real time is not only entertaining, but creates a unique blend of commerce, community, and engagement. As a result, brands are now looking at live streaming as a way to connect with audiences that they couldn't reach before. For instance, on Twitch, companies like Saint Laurent have partnered with Twitch streamers for gamified quests that promote their products. This partnership proved to not only be a creative way to get a legacy brand in front of a younger, predominantly male audience, but also had a big quantitative impact, leading to a 122% increase in daily average sales and a 16% increase in audience favorability, all showcasing that big brands and small creators alike are looking at live streaming as an effective way to connect with their audiences and sell products. From sports to politics to shopping, it's clear that live streaming is becoming a dominant medium for how we communicate, interact with each other, and make purchasing decisions. And beyond the numbers, I personally believe that the connective tissue around this rise is the desire for authenticity. Almost every media story that I've done deep dives on this channel all mention authenticity in some way, shape, or form. Today's media consumers, especially younger audiences, not only want, but demand more intimate and relaxed relationships with the media personalities they follow. This is forcing media companies, from established players to independent creators, to seek out more direct relationships with their audiences by meeting them where they are. And live streaming is clearly a medium that is helping them do that, not only now, but in the future.